Welcome to the Crunchy Moms Unfiltered, the podcast where we question everything and say the things no one else will. I'm April Locani, a serial entrepreneur turned naturopathic practitioner and just a truth-seeking mama.
And I'm Brandy Lemire, a social media influencer, a certified nutrition response practitioner, and just a crunchy mom who's done with censorship and refuses to co-parent with the government. April and I built this podcast as a safe space for moms and dads to have real, raw, uncensored conversations.
From what's really in our food to the truth about modern medicine, we're diving deep into the topics no one else wants to touch because an informed mom makes empowered choices.
No filters, no fear, just real, raw talk. Welcome to Crunchy Moms Unfiltered.
Hey guys, today we have a really exciting guest. We have Lauren from Girls Gone Raw. First time I said that to April, she was like, "Are you about to say Girls Gone Raw?"
All y'all 90s, 80s babies know exactly what you
I
know.
know.
I thought the same thing.
You know what's so funny? It's that name that like people are like, you might have to change that to succeed in the industry. I'm like, okay, but you remember it. It's provocative. It gets the people going.
I love it.
It also has a story behind it, but we'll get into that.
I can't wait to hear that. Well, why don't we jump into that? Let's jump into your story. I know that, you and I connected on Instagram. April and I got puppies over the summer and we were posting with the puppies. And I remember you sent me a message and then you happened to be local, which made it even cooler.
Yes.
And so you sent us these subscription boxes, which we are going to open on camera. We're really excited for. I peeked at it.
I love that. We'll get into that.
But we haven't given them to the puppies yet. So why don't you just tell us your story, the story behind the name, the story of, how are you here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started out kind of like everyone else. I grew up kind of crunchy, kind of health conscious, with a million dogs. And kind of over the years growing up, I saw my dogs continuously sick. Whether it was yeast infections, constantly impacted anal glands, which is gross. I know that's like a gross word, but it's a constant issue with a lot of like commercially fed dogs.
Yeah.
All of them were getting cancer. All of them had lumps all over them, yeast infections, like I said, their teeth, their eyes, whatever, you know what I mean? And so by the time I got to college and I was in a pre-veterinary degree down there, I was alongside again, working in all these like very, very traditional vet clinics. A pill for this, a vaccine for this, a shot for this. If it hurts, cut it out. And the prescription foods and everything like that. And I started to just kind of push back on some of this stuff. Like, hey, maybe if we're having a chronic issue and all these medicines are only kind of patching it up, do we maybe look deeper? And they're like, stop, girl. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, stop with the woo-woo. You know what I mean? And so I was that one throughout my veterinary degree that was asking the holistic questions. Like, why are we not feeding commercial feed chickens bugs instead of spray dried beef meal? You know what I mean? And all of those kind of holistic compared to what anybody else in the industry is asking. So kind of out of college, my nutrition teacher was like, you should look into becoming a nutritionist. What I did instead was become a pet food sales rep for a high-end kind of kibble company. And I'd worked in your like healthy pet stores. So your family owned, like, I don't know if you have Hollywood Feed, Pet People. They're not like fancy.
I remember Pet People. We have one of those.
Yeah, Pet People. So I worked I was in Columbus. So I went to Otterbein for equine pre-vet and biology. And I had kind of shifted my degree throughout the years to take more zoology classes. And I had sort of more of a wildlife degree, working in, like I said, vet clinics, but also the Columbus Zoo and Ohio Wildlife Center and things like that. So we were feeding whole mice and, horse meat meatballs to polar bears. And then I worked in a kibble company and saw the other side of it. And I went out to the big expos, and it was Champion Pet Foods, whose origin in Canada. They just sold out to like a big box brand. And I saw so many different sides of it, and like the pet food industry coming out of it. Like I was just sick about it. It's so scammy down to the language, the ingredients, the marketing is so manipulative. And not to say that all of them are bad. There's some that are okay. But essentially, it just left me with this bad taste in my mouth. At the same time, my dogs are just dropping from cancer, whether we were able to heal them holistically or not. You know what I mean? And I was like, enough is enough. So 2020, I had kind of nothing to lose. COVID was happening. I had like a 6-month-old baby, and I decided to start Girls Gone Raw as it is. And I started out just kind of doing jerkies, like nice clean jerkies, and then supplements that I was already making for my dog. So turmeric paste, bone broth, raw goat milk, kefir, and then starting to kind of help people figure out options. Like I was, even from the beginning, using my platform more for education. And then, like, you know, obviously people start to trust you, so then they want to buy your stuff. And I built my reputation up from that. I mean, I think it was like 6 months ago, I looked at my social media and I'm like, you cannot even tell what I sell. As far as you're, you know, as far as anybody's aware, I'm just like a blogger or something. And so I was like, I should probably start marketing. But I don't like doing that because I feel like there's so much power in a platform, and a platform that is actually authentic and not just following whatever trending sound. So I might not have 20,000 or 50,000 followers, but it's the impact of the information that does get out to people that I think is powerful. But the brand kind of spiraled into like a weird realm with the body parts, I'd say my first spring, and I started doing chicken feet, duck feet, and, you know, some simpler stuff. And now I've somehow just firmly seated myself as like the weird stuff queen.
We're going to show some of that in the box here in a little bit.
And I have some of the even weirder ones that I brought just as little props. But, and people are always like, how did you get into like rabbit heads and frog legs? And I'm like, I think I was the only one willing to do it. But also to me, you know, I worked with wild bird rehab where we were feeding roadkill to vultures. You know what I mean? That sounds disgusting, but it's appropriate.
Right.
And it's what they need. And feeding whole rats to whatever, and doing live feedings and stuff. So I think it desensitized some of the ick for me, because what are you going to deny a live mouse to a owl? You know what I mean? And horse meat meatballs to a polar bear sounds terrible, but it's a polar bear. It's a massive animal that needs extremely high protein. And you know what I mean? And you start to realize that some of these things that we've been so deeply ingrained as like disgusting are so, so important. I think it's even like the resurgence of like organ meats for women, like Primal Queen and some of those brands. And people are starting to feed freeze-dried liver to their babies and stuff like that. And yeah, it's that ick factor. I still can't even do, I struggle with raw milk for my family because it's so deeply ingrained. Do you know what I mean?
We have had
it's hard
that
to get over.
I'm a big raw milk person, and she at first was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, it looks chunky. She's like, it's supposed to. I'm like, why?
Why? Yeah, I know.
Like,
it's just
like
so
we're very
homogenized.
Yeah, we're just.
It's hard to reprogram yourself.
Living in the country in Florida, we had like 8 outdoor cats, and these outdoor cats daily would eat bunnies and mice and birds, and like they were eating them, and that's naturally what they do. But that's hard for people to wrap their heads around.
It is.
My cat does that too, though. We have like a pet cemetery outside every morning by accident. But like, I guess it goes down the lines of like you're crunchy in your life, or you're holistic, right? Like we live a very holistic lifestyle, and we just got puppies just this summer. I mean, July 1st they were born, so we got them like August 20th or something. And so it goes, where do you draw the line with your pets, right? Like, do you start doing raw food, or do you not? Like, where do you draw the line in crossing over the holistic lifestyle into your animals, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's something you don't think about. Like, before I was a crunchy mom, when I was that normal mom that did all the normal things, I didn't think anything about the dog food I was buying my dogs, getting them, vaccines at the vet. Now I don't vaccinate my animals. If we do feed them dry food, like we get the puppies a grain-free, crazy expensive, like really clean food.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's something that you don't naturally think about. And it's like the deeper step once you've gone into the crunchy lifestyle.
Yeah,
this is something that
unlearn it.
Yeah, this is something that needs to be talked about, because a lot of people will be so focused on their kids and their food and themselves, and you don't think about your pet.
Well, and then convenience comes into that, right? Like it's very inconvenient to make all the food raw for your dog, right? So you're like, and then you look at the raw food.
And for a lot of people, it goes the opposite. a lot of people goes the opposite way. They don't necessarily think about their own health, but all of a sudden their dog has mast cell cancer, which is an inflammation-driven cancer. And they're like, inflammation, I'm feeding the best kibble. Inflammation is everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that will cause them, then they have to go to a really minimally processed food, whether a gently cooked or a low carb or a raw, something like that. And then they're like, well, if my dog had all this inflammation that caused cancer in their body, what's it doing in my body? Because I'm eating Burger King twice a week. You know what I mean? And I really like that kind of cycle with people because I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? I just bought toaster strudels yesterday because I was hormonal and I wanted them. But at the same time,
I had toaster strudels since I was a kid.
Same.
I kind of want one now.
I'll make you some sourdough.
They were on sale and I was like, oh shit, that sounds good. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, well, it's just me. So once everybody was to bed, I had my toaster strudel. I just don't let my kids see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's hide in the closet eating them. Yes, I feel that.
Right.
Yeah, that's me. But at the same time, yeah, we have our Nux vomica and our aconites, and we do organic, and I cook like extremely protein heavy. You know what I mean? And we do everything as holistically as possible. I even try to make sure my kid runs around barefoot outside so he can ground himself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not perfect, but there's so much holistic stuff. There's only so much that I call myself like crunchy with limits, you know, sort of crunchy.
Crunchy-ish.
Yeah, crunchy-ish because, you know, it's the economy is what it is. I can't necessarily afford to go out and buy my grass-fed meats, but at least we are getting a lot of fresh meats. You know what I mean? Tons of vegetables. We do. So the same thing with our dogs. You know, everybody kind of views, and I want to preface this also with, no, I'm not a veterinarian. Don't take my advice exactly, but
this is purely educational. This is not.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is purely entertainment. Not. This is not medical advice. Anything like that.
There are a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that just want to discredit me because I'm not a veterinarian. And the truth of it is, though, that I've worked with some of the top veterinarians in the country, and I've spent, you know, the past 10 years of my life reading the research and immersing myself in this and going to conferences and talking to professionals.
You have education in zoology from college. I mean, I don't think
I have a lot going on. Yeah, I could tell you the exact, you know, anatomy of your duodenum, but so a lot of people like to discredit me because they're like, where's your nutrition degree? Like, oh, ma'am, I am 1 credit off from it. But
you're like, actually, call me
people love to discredit crunchy anything. They're like, no, thank you. I'm going to listen to my
very programmed. Like we talked about earlier, we're very programmed. So the reason they're going to discredit you is because we've been taught to believe one thing. So when life turns a left, when everyone's going right, they're of course going to be like, wait a minute. No, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm going to prove you don't know what you're talking about because I'm going to look for any little thing that shows the world that you don't know what you're talking about. Which is why when Brandy's going to open these up. Let's open these up really quick. When she opened it and I was like, what is that?
I was so excited because I'm familiar with some of this and have fed my dog some of this previously, but April was like horrified.
I was not like, like a little bit.
So this
I like it.
So cute.
I love the subscription boxes, by the way, because I'm like, it's actually a pain in the butt to handwrite every name on everything. You know what I mean? And I was able to pass some of it off to my employees. Usually I do like lots more frills, but
I love that the dog's name.
This is super cute. So it's got freeze-dried quail egg powder. I'm going to pull this out so you guys can see it too. Prey model rabbit sticks, local whole beef trachea, local farmed rabbit head, pasture-raised duck foot, Momentum carnivore nutrition freeze-dried training bites. Okay, so you open it up. And
yeah, that was our August themed box. So everything in there is like whole food nutrition for carnivores. You know what I mean? Things that are meant to complement the diet, not just be a treat.
And anybody who's listening and not watching, the rabbit sticks are really long. It kind of looks like a beef jerky. It looks like cool. And it says source meat, organ, bone, sausages. Like, that's really crazy.
We will put a link in the show notes to this where you guys can get these subscription boxes. I love that this says small batch made in Ohio with love. It's local. Okay, so freeze-dried quail egg powder.
And anyone again watching online, it kind of looks, or listening online, it kind of looks like a seasoning.
Yep, and it's in like a little refill bottle.
Yeah.
So these are the training bites, only 2 ingredients.
And these, you know, they're prepackaged, but they look like they're processed and they're not, right? That's the best part. So you can still get that processed feel where you want to take a couple in your pocket.
Yeah, kind of an explanation on that. Every month with the Carnivore Crate, except for November, because I'm taking a little break because Black Friday is chaos. But every month we partner with a cool new brand. And what that's done is help me open up the door for brands that I love and trust. And I kind of think of it as like putting a tool into my customers' toolboxes. So that's a brand you might not have known about, but it's a very established, very esteemed brand that uses extremely high quality stuff. We worked with mushroom companies, CBD, small businesses, but Momentum was our partner for that month's crate.
I love that. She thought she was gonna be Vanna White for a minute, and no, this is the last 2 things I'm gonna pick up.
I was like, I'll hold the.
You hold the box.
You're like,
yeah. We'll switch.
Yeah.
I got
have to. Like, I don't want to touch it. This is how ridiculously I am about the ick, right? Like, I still haven't gone past the ick. I'm gonna feed my animals this, but I'm like, oh, honey, will you grab that and give that to the dog?
Yeah, I have people that use tongs. And they're like, I know it's good for my dog, so I'm gonna get it, but they can't touch it. Gloves, tongs.
I get it.
Like I got a pen.
So that's the beef trachea.
It's that's exactly what it says. It is a beef trachea.
The dogs are gonna go nuts. So then these are super fun. So I fed my dog this before. I have a friend that processes her own chickens. This is a chicken foot.
That's a duck foot, but
duck foot. Sorry, that's right. Duck foot. That's right. I could tell by looking at it. It's a duck foot. So duck foot, dehydrated duck foot.
Anyone listening in, it looks exactly like what she says, a duck foot.
And then this one, I think April should hold.
Nope.
This is a rabbit's head.
Oh my gosh. It's a real bunny.
It's a real bunny.
And for people listening, we do have a lot of kind of personalizations with the crate to where you can say like no fur. I have a couple of people that don't even get chews. We just customize them that money amount with treats. You can say no fur. You can say no yucky things, you know, and we have a lot of customizations. I would say that
I like that you have that because like someone like, what if like, if I was a single woman living by myself, my dog, I might be like, I can't do the rabbit head. You know what I mean? Just whatever.
Isolate that. It's weird. That's a head. You know what I mean? That is yucky. There's no, you know, I'm like, but it also has so many benefits. And that's, I know another thing that we're going to talk about, but I want to kind of the indoctrination, like you said, that ick factor and stuff. I was watching Coco Melon with a friend's baby, you know, like the baby crash show. And there's kibble and biscuits. You know what I mean? There's kibble and like little milk bone cookies and, you know, cartoons, movies, the commercials. There was kibble Snapchat filters. And it's just so heavily a part of our society that the biggest pushback I get from people is like, they don't know how to do anything other than scoop into a bowl.
Yep.
And they can't fathom doing anything other than that. But at the same time, that's dog fast food. So if you tell people like, do you feel comfortable feeding yourself and your kids fast food twice a day for every single meal? They'd be like, well,
no,
obviously
you put it that way and it's like a light bulb goes off. Like, oh my gosh.
It makes complete sense. Yeah.
It's actually kind of worse than fast food. It's like if you take a McDonald's cheeseburger and then you render it down into cereal. You know what I mean? So you've lost all of that. And with the high heat processing, you create so many, they're called like glucosaminoGlycan. No, there's something else. AGEs that I can't remember. But there's a lot of like toxic and inflammatory carcinogenic things that are made when you process at high heats with extraction for kibble. And whereas I'm not saying that it's terrible, I would honestly rather somebody feed a mid-end kibble, like maybe Nutrisource. Like it's not expensive, but it's not cheap. It has higher protein and slightly better ingredients. But in the end, almost every single kibble out there, with the exception of like Lotus and Nutrisource, are meat meal, some sort of starch, a lot of starch, and a synthetic vitamin premix. They're all, in the end, they're all high heat processed. There are some, like I use a little bit of kibble for my dog just because she's large and I can't afford to feed her fully raw.
Yeah.
I'd rather you feed a kibble that you can afford to where you could also afford to add a little bit of raw or a gently cooked, or, even if you're adding bone broths and fresh eggs and things like that, because adding 10 to 20% of fresh food, whether it's even like steamed broccoli and spinach and stuff like that, it has shown to greatly reduce the disease and inflammation markers in their bodies. So that's kind of like, people think that raw or fresh feeding or something has to be 100%, and it doesn't. It's kind of come as you can. Everybody's a little bit broke right now, and there's a million great options out there. There's also a lot of kind of scammy options, but there's a million great options. And things like the quail egg topper, like the rabbit sticks, I would rather you feed a mid to high end kibble and then add stuff like that on a daily or rotational basis, because at least you're getting some sort of fresh food, some minimally processed proteins and things like that.
That's awesome.
So that's
so you guys sell supplements. Like, tell us a little bit more about your brand, let's say. So your target is dogs, right? Like, you're a dog-based brand. And
I love cats too, but cats can't chew as much. But yeah,
these say dogs or cats,
which is so cool. I love that, because then it's like, look, you got a bunch of, you can just get one bag.
The quail egg powder, all of that can be given to cats and should be. I mean, they're more carnivorous than dogs even.
I thought so. I thought they were more carnivorous. Mm-hmm. So on your site, I see you have supplements. I see you have wholesale, you have bulk, you have just a lot of freeze-dried snacks. Tell us a little bit about your brand and what you guys offer, so that someone listening can go, oh my gosh, like maybe they're thinking right now that you sell raw food. Let's get clear on what you sell, so we could that people listening at home could go, I'm going to start making treats from her.
I probably should have done that from the beginning, huh?
No,
but
we do. We're just
dehydrated. Yeah. That's what I get for doing a podcast at 10 a.m. Before I finish my coffee.
You're good.
I do all dehydrated pet treats. So I have a team. My shop is in Alexandria, just kind of northwest or northeast of Columbus. And we produce everything ourselves except for a couple of the supplements that we buy from other really cool aligned brands. But I mean, we do everything. I kind of call it like G-rated to R-rated. So I like for maybe people like you, Brandy, who that it's good, but you're just not kind of ready for eyeballs and toes. Like a pork loin bacon, which is literally just human grade pork loin trimmed and sliced and dried. There's no preservatives. There's no carrageenans. There's no flavorings, whatever. Simple. Smelt fish is just like a little crunchy smelt that also is human grade.
I was going to say, I saw the fish heads and stuff on there too.
See, I'm ready for all that. Send me the eyeballs and the fish and all that. She's the one. She'll make me feed it to the puppies.
I want it. I don't want to touch it.
And so many people, they get it, but they're like, oh, I just can't do feet. And I'm like, I get that. I mean, it's like I said, I'm like, I understand that it's gross. I do not think what I do is normal. I don't, you know what I mean? But
it's funny though. People will go to any store and buy a pig's ear and give their kids. Please don't give your kids pig ears. Give their dogs a pig's ear, but then a duck's foot kind of freaks you out. It's wild.
Do you know what gets me? Bully sticks. How did bully sticks become so mainstream? Do people not know what they are?
I don't know what they are.
Do you know what they are?
No.
Do you want to know what they are?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I've ever fed them. So I don't know what they
bully
are.
sticks? I don't know what those are either.
A bully stick is what I would say is probably like next to a rawhide. If people are wanting something like clean, that's like the go-to most popular chew. And it's a bull penis. It's cow penis.
Okay.
I
wasn't expecting that.
I was not prepared for that.
And if you look at the label, it says like pizzle or, you know what I mean? And I just don't think, I don't understand why that's the one thing that became mainstream. And yet I sell like a foot and people are like, and I'm like, your dog is over there chewing on a wiener. Okay. So I don't want to.
And we're not talking about the hot dog, y'all. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
Sorry for ruining anybody's breakfast if they're listening.
Well, no, anyone listening to that now, you need the rabbit sticks over the bully sticks. But
yeah, because the rabbit sticks don't look bad.
Before we go on, can you touch, because you mentioned rawhide.
Yeah.
And so that is the one thing I learned years ago before I learned all the other things, was not to give your dogs rawhide, but that's like one of the number one sold things for dogs. So can you just really briefly touch on why rawhide is bad?
Yeah. So rawhide is not a food product. It's a byproduct of the leather industry. It's the kind of tough fibrous section of the hide that's stripped off when they're making that soft, supple, kind of decorative leather. And it is so chemically processed with formaldehydes and bleaches, dyes, glues, all sorts of toxic stuff. It's not a food. They're like, well, it's not a food, it's a chew, but your dog is consuming it. Like there's so many lax things around that. And it is absolutely loaded top to bottom. And then you see them colored and shaped and pressed. And the end all of that is that, ingredients aside, it is not digestible. So that's why it's also one of the most common things for blockages and choking, because they get that slimy and your dog just swallows it like a mozzarella stick. Still hanging out one end, your dog's freaking out. Yeah. So it's so common for dogs to choke and get bowel impactions on those because they just turn into like a wad of glue in their belly. I should have brought one with me, but I also understand that that's what we grew up with, is the rawhide braids and twists and rawhide rolls and things like that. So what I created to kind of nod to that is my pork hide chew. So I go to a butcher in Ashland.
Oh, good. I was just saying, chicken butcher is that
fresh human grade pig skin. So it's the same thing that people buy for like pork rinds, chicharrones, cracklins, stuff like that.
I love
that.
Yeah. So it's just a big sheet of skin, and we cut and roll them into these pork hide rolls, which are about this big. And it looks just like a tan, slightly greasy rawhide roll. But the difference is that, and we also do braids. They're like this long, and I have employees that braid skin for like hours on end. I'm sure Kristen prefer they didn't exist, but yeah, I did it for years. And the nice thing about those is I call it kind of like a gateway chew, to where it's like, okay, it looks familiar enough to the rawhide rolls that we've already decided are bad, but I'm not ready for things that look like body parts, so they're cutesy. I even take the pork hide roll or pork hide braids and put them into like a little heart. We sell a lot of those. And it's familiar, but it's completely digestible. There's no preservatives. It chews just like a hide. You know what I mean? It's still chewy, but it sloughs off more like meat, so you don't have that choking.
Yeah. I love it. We'll be getting our stuff from you from now on.
Yeah.
Like we were so impressed by your box the second we got it.
There's a lot of gross stuff, but I'm like I said, there's a lot of PG stuff too. The pork loin bacon is just as healthy as buying the rabbit sticks and stuff like that. It's just a little bit more simple and a little bit more forgiving for some people. So a lot of people will start with something like that, or they'll start with chicken jerky and then they'll try a chicken foot, and then maybe they'll try a chicken head, or something like that. What I like about the rabbit stick specifically is it looks kind of unassuming. If you look really close at it, like you can't really see with the camera, but there's hair in it too. So
what's cool about it is you don't waste the animal. Like, I don't know, like being in
this is an entire rabbit.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff. No, what's anyone doing with the rabbit heads? What's anyone doing? They're hunting them anyway. Where are the body parts going? Where's the leg going?
I get a lot of hate for rabbits specifically because I think that a lot of people have them as pets. They're cute, but I mean, I'm sure you've seen rabbits are quickly becoming like a new homestead popular.
I have been seeing that. My sister-in-law's sister has now got a ton of those bunnies with the floppy ears. Oh my gosh, there's a name for them. They're whatever. Yes. But they have a ton of them. They have a homestead. But like I was saying, like you don't waste anything. Like the beef trachea, what would anyone be doing with that? So I like to see
the main way to approach the meat industry, because I was ironically a vegetarian for a long time, but not because I don't eat meat. It's because I'm like, gosh, you kill this, you take away a life, and then you just take the choice cuts and dump the rest. When there's nutrition and integrity, I think, in using the whole animal, kind of like the Native American perspective of it. Use the whole thing, use the hide, the feet, the ears. And so to me, using the entire animal is like the most respectful and, you know, also eco-friendly way to go about it. And there's so much nutrition in it. I mean, people look at rabbit hide rolls because I brought one of these as a, this is probably one of the wildest things that I sell. It's an entire rabbit hide.
Wow.
Just like flipped inside, you can see like the arms. Ooh. And then we also use the whole frame. So the quartered rabbit frame is literally just like if you were to process a rabbit down to what you'd see in like a restaurant. We take the legs off and then you get like 2 rib sections with the heart, liver, and lungs. And then you get a waist section with the kidneys and then a pelvis. So
wow.
An entire rabbit.
The animal's not wasted. Like,
well, that's what I was saying. My girlfriend that has a homestead in Florida, they process their own chickens. They dehydrate the feet and they dehydrate the heads and they turn them into dog treats. And so they're literally using everything.
And that's how it should be. Because if we're going to take a life, let's use the entire life. Like,
exactly.
That's what God intended. God didn't intend us to just slop things away, you know?
There's the fact that like the organ meat and the trachea has all of this nutrition that is so essential for our dogs. You can't ignore that. You know what I mean? So a trachea is one of the most rich sources of glucosamine and chondroitin for a dog. So for joint support and older dogs, things like that. But yeah, the rabbit stick is an entire rabbit basically in a fine sausage, but it's not gross. You know what I mean? It's a little, I think it kind of looks like an owl pellet if anybody's ever seen those.
Yeah.
So we're going to give our dogs these when we get off of this.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Well, honestly, like, I'm so glad we did this. We've been this is the August box. Life has been lifing for all of us. And so it took us a couple months to be able to get on here, but we've been holding on to these for the dogs. So we will be posting some videos showing us giving these to our dogs. So people that are following along, we will be putting a link in the show notes. And then obviously when we post these on social media, we'll tag you and we'll put some links. So if anyone wants to get a subscription box or try these, like she said, you can personalize these. If you're not down with beef tracheas or rabbit heads or duck feet, you can. Oh, so look, and there's different sizes. So yeah,
this is the snack crate. It's $25, and then we have the $50.
Exactly, perfect.
So that's amazing.
Customizable, affordable. You can pick all the things. I love it. So yeah, we're gonna definitely put some content. Everything will be linked in the show notes. Your social, your company, your website. And we're going to totally give our dogs these after, and we'll make sure we do a ton of content around all of this. I was going to say, I saw that on the website, the holiday.
I know. I love that.
I think they're so fun. It has like the rabbit sticks, pork loin bacon, steak jerky, rabbit feet. This is the variety one. Pork and apple bites, chicken jerky.
We're totally going to have to get that because I get my kids an Avant box every year. So we'll have to do one of those. And
there's like a couple solid bites in each one. We try to make it a little meaty.
We are definitely going to get
those.
That's cool. Well, we could totally talk all day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, for doing this, for the education provided. Sticks, I will never ever unlearn that. So thank you for sharing that.
Once you know, yeah, you're right for ruining it. Now you're going to see those like 6-foot bully sticks and be like,
we're like, oh my goodness gracious.
Don't know what that is.
That's large.
So if you're watching this and you order a subscription box, please jump in the comments. Let us know what you ordered, what your animals like. We can't wait to hear from you. And, maybe we can do this again soon as you guys have some new stuff coming out over the next few months.
As always, talking about the things that no one else will talk about. Thank you for watching Crunchy Moms Unfiltered.